All right.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first edition of On the Beat Hey everyone, welcome to the first edition of On the Beat for this football season. Today we'll be breaking down the Penn State season opener. I'm David Wilson. These are the other two beat writers, Stephen Bailey, Trevor Hass. Stephen and I will be heading down to MetLife Stadium tomorrow morning for the season opener. And we still don't know who the quarterback is. That's a big question, obviously. Signs look like they're starting to point towards Drew Allen being the starter. First of all, who do you guys expect to be the starter tomorrow? And what can we actually expect out of the Syracuse quarterback situation?
Well, I think it'll be Drew Allen too. I mean, obviously, Scott Schaefer doesn't want to announce his quarterback. I mean, it's understandable. But they brought Drew Allen in to start. I think Terrell Hunt is a good quarterback. I think next year he's pretty much the starter. I don't think anyone's going to push him for that. But, Ashton Broyles indicated that Allen will probably be the starter. He said he's taking most of the first-team reps. Shaver also said they may have Hunt ready, or whoever doesn't start may be ready. So you don't really know for sure, but if I were to guess, I think it would be Allen. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Allen too. I mean, they're both pretty solid options, as you said, but I think Allen has more potential, more ability to be great. Both can be good, but I think Allen has that big game potential. He obviously played at Oklahoma. He didn't really play there, but he was there, so I think he has a lot of potential, and I think he will get the start.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of either of them. The only time was in Fort Drum when we saw a little bit of the scrimmage there. They pretty much even there. Drew Allen, though, seemed like the only one who Syracuse was willing to let the playbook open up for. They weren't really throwing the ball downfield as much with Terrell Hunt. Pretty much all the passes he made in that game were screen passes, little swing passes out of the backfield. Either way, though, Penn State has a first-year quarterback starting as well. It'll either be Tyler Ferguson, the JUCO transfer, or Christian Hackenberg, the five-star freshman from Virginia. So I think we can expect a sloppy game and a lot of running the ball. Both teams are really going to pack it in. Syracuse obviously has the good two-headed monster there at running back with Jerome Smith, Prince Tyson Gully. Penn State has a pretty good back too in Zach Zwinak. So I think we're going to see a lot of running the ball and a lot of eight-man fronts, stuff like that. A lot of nickel packages where they pull the safety up. A lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think from the Penn State perspective on offense, Bill O'Brien's going to run a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets. You saw him do that in New England when he was with the Patriots, with Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. Kyle Carter and Jesse James are both pretty good, so they can definitely stretch out the Syracuse linebackers a little bit. And on the Syracuse side, throwing the ball, I think they might try and use the H-backs a little bit, short passes to guys like Broyles. Gerard West is the number 1 receiver, but it doesn't seem like the deep ball will be quite as much a priority with 2 young quarterbacks. I think it'll be more heavy doses of running, quick short passes, and playing it safe because, like David said, it's probably going to be pretty sloppy.
Yeah, I think Syracuse's main priority is just to keep the Penn State defense honest because they know they're going to run a lot. That's just what's going to happen. They're going to run some more, but you just got to keep them guessing. So when they can throw that deep ball every once in a while, it keeps them on their toes.
Yeah, Syracuse doesn't necessarily have the bona fide number 1 receiving threat, but they do have some guys that at least give the threat of a deep ball. Jeremiah Kobina and maybe even Brisley Esteem. If they're confident enough in Drew Allen's arm, and by all accounts it's incredibly strong, we don't know how accurate it is down the field. If they are comfortable with that, then they always have those 2 guys to maybe be able to stretch the field out a little bit. For the Penn State offense, it seems like they could be on every play have 3 or 4 tight ends out there. It just would make sense for them, it seems like. With an inexperienced quarterback, young quarterbacks like to check down to their tight ends. You get a couple extra blockers in there to give the ball to your good running back. They're not going to be stretching out the field a lot, but you don't want to take Allen Robinson off the field. But, they could be very conservative with that tight end set, and, they trust their tight ends, so I think we're going to see a lot of tight end action from Penn State.
Yeah, there's no fear of going empty backfield or anything like that. You see them do that all the time. Talking with David talked with one of the Penn State beat writers at the Daily Collegian. He said empty backfield is pretty common. The interesting thing to me is that when you put those linebackers on the field, guys like James and Carter are going to be matching up with Dyshawn Davis and Cameron Lynch and Marquise Sproul's in the middle, but if they have 3 or 4 tight ends out there, he's going to have to slide over and pick up someone. So the strength of the Syracuse defense is going up against, well, at least one of the strengths of the Penn State offense. So that's really going to be a huge matchup when the Nittany Lions have the ball.
I think when you look at the Syracuse roster, when you just kind of scan down at two of the most intriguing players are Ashton Broyles and Brisley Steam. We've mentioned them a few times. What do you guys expect to see out of the H-back position?
I mean, Scott Schaefer said or at least hinted that Ashton Broyles will get a couple snaps behind center. Rob Moore told me he is their slot receiver. He's the guy that they want playing the slot as their regular guy. He's not just a gimmick, gadget type guy. So I think he's going to be on the field a lot. I think they're going to run a lot of screens and stuff to him, and he's a good guy to try to get the ball in the hands of because of the playmaking ability, getting him in open space. So they'll find ways to get him the ball. I'm not sure about Brisley as much, at least in week 1. I think he could go through sort of some similar things like Ashton Broyles went through last year where, he had a big game against Stony Brook. Maybe we'll see Brisley have a big game against Wagner or Tulane, one of those games. But I don't think he can yet be counted on as a consistent weapon for this offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy position to learn as a freshman. Hey, you play in the backfield here, you're out to the slot here, there's a lot of motion plays. So I think from what Schaefer's told us about Brisley especially, he wants to ease him into it. He might have him only in a few sets in week 1. By weeks 3 and 4, he'll be more comfortable with the rest of the offense or involve him in more roles in the offense. But yeah, I think Ashton Broyles is going to play a big part in the offense, especially in the short passing game. Slants, bubble screens, when he is in the backfield, which he did say he does go to the backfield sometimes, but we think he's going to be primarily in the slot, pitches, tosses. So getting him the ball in space is really just putting him in a position to succeed. So yeah, I think he'll be a pretty big part of the passing game this year. And you never know what they're going to do with the Wildcat. Schaefer didn't rule it out.
They don't have a whole lot of receiving options, and just by default, then Broyles is probably the most talented guy they have in that group. So just by default, he's going to have to be involved in this offense.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I think Beckett Wales is a solid option as a tight end. Yeah. But as far as the wide receivers go, West is listed at number 1, Fleming is number 2, and Covina is number 3. From the defensive perspective, none of those guys are really that threatening. West is a solid possession receiver. I think we've heard good things about Fleming.
Yeah, we don't really know much about him. He hasn't caught a pass in his Syracuse career. And
he played last season, but no catches.
Yeah, no catches. They're trotting him out as the number 2 receiver. And he's been the number 2 receiver pretty much since the spring. So they have confidence in him.
Yeah, and Rob Moore said he had the best camp of any wide receiver there. It was Rob Moore, right?
Yes, it was Rob Moore.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch. And, I mean, you've seen what Covina can do. He was the kick returner last year. He's got speed.
They've got a lot of young receivers that look like they can play a part.
Yeah. Certainly not Marcus Sales and Alec Lemon, but
it's a deep group, but you don't necessarily know how talented that group is.
Yeah.
So
we're waiting for somebody to step up a little bit.
Yeah.
And speaking of kick returners, you mentioned that kind of element of the game. Do you think George Morris can be that guy to kind of step up from last year? Last year they were okay in the kick return game, but he's pretty athletic.
I really like the idea of getting George Morris and Devontae McFarland as the kick returners because they're really talented, and you need to find a way to get them on the field. They're not going to take carries away from Jerome Smith and Prince Tyson Gully, so this is a good way to get them on the field.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Schaefer talked about how he likes to use running backs in the return game. He just trusts them with the ball a little bit more, although you did see Steve Renee with some fumble problems the last couple of years. But yeah, I like Morris back there. He's quick. Jerome Smith raves about him. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of a dynamic kick return game from Syracuse this year, which is something that was a little inconsistent in the past.
Yeah, I was talking to Jerome Smith, and he said George Morris is the fastest eater on the team, so I guess he does everything fast, so hopefully that'll be an asset. I mean, he seems pretty good, so we'll see.
He's the fastest eater of the running backs or of the whole team?
Well, the running backs, but I think he made it seem like pretty close to the team, so.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive. All right, so let's get your guys' predictions. What are you guys expecting this weekend?
I have Penn State 21, Syracuse 20. I do think Syracuse can win this game, but it's going to come down to quarterback play. It's no secret that Syracuse wants to give the ball to Jerome Smith and Prince Tyson Gully. They're both great running backs. They totaled like 2,000 yards last year, and they'll certainly have more than that this year. But if the Penn State defense can creep that safety in the box, like David said, and they can put 8 guys in the box on every play, unless Drew Allen or Terrell Hunt, whoever it is able to keep them honest with some deeper passes or even screens, slants, just something to move the ball downfield a little bit and keep the defense honest. I just can't see Syracuse really being able to score toward the ends of the game, or ends of games in general. But so that's what I have right now. Penn State 21, Syracuse 20.
Yeah, I went Penn State 24, Syracuse 13. I think it'll be close in the first half, maybe like 10-7 around halftime. But I think Penn State will ultimately be a little bit too much. I just think they're a more complete team. Syracuse has big play potential, but not quite as much. And I think Alder Owens will have a monster game, so I'll take Penn State in a pretty close one.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a field goal or two. Also, I mean, Penn State, I think Bill O'Brien is a really good coach. And Scott Schaefer could be a really good coach one day, but right now I'm going to take the Bill O'Brien as the X factor in this game, a guy who can really game plan, has a great offensive system.
Mm-hmm.
The coach is the X factor. I like that.
Yes, exactly. All right, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll be back next week to preview Northwestern. Trevor will be going up to Chicago for that one. Be sure to check dailyorange.com all weekend long and follow us at DO Sports for coverage of all the activity down at MetLife Stadium. Thanks a lot.